Now available for the first time in paperback. Stop Simping in the Workplace. Men, learn what you need to know in order to protect your job from workplace predators with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available in paperback at online booksellers everywhere. A couple of weeks ago, they had another women's march on Washington and cities like New York and other cities in Western countries like the United Kingdom, Sweden, France, and many other European countries and Canada. And I wasn't able to address that in a video because I was busy with other videos, but I'm going to take a more critical look at these so-called women's marches, which are seeming to become an annual event where these women are dusting off their vagina hats and then going into these histrionics. Now, when I take a look at this women's march of this year, I don't see a logical reason for a women's march, especially here in America as it relates to the American white female. Now, when I take a look at America, it is a gynocentric state, and most of these women said that they were out here trying to march and protest for women's rights. However, I take a look at America, and women have the most rights here in America. In fact, they have so many rights that they're literally abusing them as part of this Me Too and Time's Up movement. Now, when we take a look at the rights that American white women have here in America and the power that they have, you have to ask the question, what are they marching and protesting for? Now, these women say that they went out to protest against Donald Trump. However, when we take a look at the voting statistics, 60% of white women voted for Donald Trump. 30% of Hispanic women voted for Donald Trump. And with this large majority voting for Donald Trump, it shows us that they have voting power because, again, women make up 51% of the American population. So if you make up 51% of the population, how are men oppressing you? You make up the majority of the voting bloc. Moreover, when we take a look at the American economy, women have power there too. Because as 51% of the population, women also control the job market. And because women are a majority of the workers in the job market these days, they control most of the labor. Moreover, when it comes down to females, they control human resources departments. So they have say over who gets hired and who gets fired. So again, how are they being oppressed by men? And how are they being oppressed by the so-called patriarchy? So I look at these numbers, I look at the statistics, and I say to myself, how are these women being oppressed when they control the voting bloc, the population, the job market, most of the jobs here, and control the courts through creating legislative policies that benefit them? When you look at the bigger picture and you take a look at all those protesters talking about oppression by patriarchy, it's completely illogical because I look at the policies that are being ramrodded through with this whole Me Too and Time's Up movement, where men don't even have due process under the law because women can now have the power to make allegations against a man, and then his whole career can be derailed. He can be fired from his job and his reputation tarnished, not under allegations that are taken to a court for due process under the law, but allegations that are made in the court of public opinion on mainstream media. And that shows me how much tremendous power the gynocentric state has here in this so-called Democratic Republic of the United States of America. And for these females to sit there and talk about they're being oppressed when they're actually using their power to oppress men, that's completely illogical when you think about it, because that's what's happening right now. Men are being oppressed by this gynocentric state made by these women who were elevated to this high position by a small group of men, and now they're sitting there still continuing to complain that there is oppression on them. And some of them are just as backwards to say that women are in the same place as a black man. Now, I don't see where a white female is in the same place as a black man, because when it comes down to a black man has the least amount of rights here in America. A black man is literally walking around with a target on his back whenever he goes outside. And white females don't have to worry about having a target on their back when they go outside. and they don't have to participate in unwritten social rules in order to protect their safety when they go outside, because white females and females can just go out anywhere they want. They can do whatever they like here in America. And they can literally make false claims against a man and get a man arrested. And when it comes down to a black man, this can derail his life. So I don't see where their lives are in the same position as a black man. And I don't see where they are talking about where they are just like black people when you have control over the job market, you control the human resource department, and you can get anybody hired or fired. The black man doesn't have that type of economic power because you won't let him have it, nor does he have that type of political power. So when I hear these white feminists and these white females talking about they're comparing themselves to a black man or black people, they don't know what they're talking about, and they really show how disconnected they are from reality and how they don't see how good they have it and how privileged they are. They literally, when they have these protests like that Women's March, it shows me how spoiled and entitled many American and Western females are to sit there and talk about how they're being oppressed when they live in some of the best countries in the world and receive some of the best benefits from living in these type of countries and in the world, where they can literally go to college and take majors like women's studies or take majors like anthropology and then come out here and get themselves jobs, or they can go out here and live whatever life they want without any sort of consequences or repercussions, or they can go out here and make any sort of allegation against any man and cost him his career. They don't know how great they have it, and they sit there and they abuse their power, they take their power for granted, and then they sit there and tell you that they're a victim when actually they're using their whole power base to grab more power and then try to oppress others and then tell everybody that they're the victim. And that's what I'm seeing when I look in this whole Women's March and they're saying that, oh, we're protesting Donald Trump, when in actuality, if Donald Trump would not be there if it wasn't for all these white women. So these white and Hispanic women, y'all put Donald Trump in office, but then you're going to sit there and protest against him, which shows us how backwards and completely dysfunctional many of these women are at these marches, where they sit there and make their little protests complaining about how bad they have it, not actually taking a big picture of it and saying, look, I live in the best country in the world, everything is great for me, and I have opportunities that other women have. I have control over a job market, I have control over economy, I'm a majority of the population, and you look at the picture of America and you don't really see where these women are being oppressed to the point where they have to march, because you have the right to go out here and march in the United States and express yourselves to the point where you can put a vagina hat on, and you don't see how good you have it in comparison to someone who lives in one of these Islamic countries or one of these African countries where the rights are severely restricted. When I take a look at these so-called women's marches, I see nothing more than spoiled, rotten females who don't understand how good they have it in this country and don't take a minute to appreciate how great this country is, or how great this country has been, to the point where you have women in majorities and don't see and are still complaining that they're being oppressed and how they're not getting equal opportunity. And when I look at the bigger picture of it, you've got more than equal opportunity, because they gave you a majority of the jobs in affirmative action. They gave you more rights to go out here, to the point where you have Me Too out here making allegations to destroy men. But it's still not enough of these females who still cry victim, when now, when you take a look at it, they're actually the oppressor, and they're literally choking the life out of many of the men who made the efforts to elevate them to the highest levels of society and place them in this privileged position that they just don't appreciate. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.